Okay, so welcome back to another solve critique. So I have two solves right here. I believe you're doing white cross but with blue in the front. Okay, and once again with the last solve critique I did, you rotate during your cross, which is not good inserting pieces individually. What you want to look for is influencing pieces in a way that you can solve them at the same time, and that'll definitely save you a lot of time and a lot of moves and be a lot more efficient. Okay, so I could immediately see that I can plan first pair as well since I have this green and red pair. So what I can do first is I'm going to move this green edge in like that, and I'm doing L prime right here, because what I'm also going to do is do a D right after, because I also know that this piece right here, when I put it in, it's going to be a D away from being solved. So I'll do a D right here, R2, and then before I insert this piece in, I'll just move this pair out of the way, and then F prime. We can even build an X cross with this edge, but it'll disturb this pair, so I don't really want to at this moment. And yeah, rotating towards the bottom for your cross is not good. If you are going to insert something in like this edge right here, what you want to do is this L, F, L prime like this, instead of going like rotating down here and going like that. Okay, now you rotate up. I think you do intuitive F2L sort of here. You took out that corner and are a little bit unsure. I'm kind of confused on what your blue and orange pair here. So it did take a very long time and a lot of moves, taking the edge out, taking the corner out at the same time. I would look for something where the corner is in the top layer, meaning that you could see the white piece at the top layer on the U layer instead of in the D layer, because it's a lot easier. The cases are typically a bit better, like this case for example. So this was the case you had, the red and blue pair. So what you could just do is a U, and then to set it up for a split pair, it's F prime, U prime, F, like that, and now you have a split pair right here, and do R, U, R prime, just like that, because it's a lot easier than doing setups like 2 or 3 times. Okay, next up, let's see. And I notice your finger tricks, you start at the bottom here, make sure you're in home grip. I reiterate this a lot in a lot of my critiques here, but make sure you hold it like this in home grip most of the time, and doing the push U if you can, and just optimizing your finger tricks so you don't have to regrip down. And inserting that pair there, I do say this in some of my critiques, if you have a pair like this right here and you want to insert it over here, instead of rotating and inserting it, you could just do it insert like this, wide F, R prime, wide F prime for that one overall. Next up, you did 2 rotations over here, and you could eliminate that by seeing that and then doing the lefty version of that. But it's good you do something similar. I would just recommend doing triple sexy move there for that case, like that. For this pair, I think what you could do, because I know the edge, if we're taking a look right here, the edge is right here, and when you rotate, I think you could do a U prime and also do a 2-gen solution. So the pair looks something like this blue and orange pair, and what you could do is hold it from this position and do an R, U prime, and then you're basically just pairing it up right here, R prime, U, R, U prime, R prime. So I would recommend learning beginner F2L here, because I think that's something that you definitely need to work on, because I noticed that you're just taking out the corner and then matching it up as it goes. You can influence pieces by taking them out in a certain way that sets it up to a split pair or a free pair. But I noticed your look ahead is pretty good. There's not too many pauses here, and now you're left with just a pretty nice OLL here. So I'm sort of confused here. I think you're doing a different OLL than what it actually is supposed to be here. You start this algorithm, but then you realize it's not that case. So just being more familiar with it, don't rush your solves, because this case you would just recognize it with this corner is going to be here, this corner is here, instead of the headlights being here. And that's pretty solid. You do regrip at the end for that F prime move, so as you're doing the algorithm, just do the F prime move with your thumb at the bottom here. Just see my right thumb, you just push up like that, and you just have an F perm. So the thing I would say about this F perm is you did rotate so you had this bar on the left. What you could just do instead is do a U prime and have the bar on the left. It's the same thing, it's a lot easier and a lot faster than doing a rotation. Your execution is not the greatest here. I could see that there's sort of a +2 there at the same time. I won't critique that really. The finger tricks were a little bit off here. You did regrip quite a bit, so I'm just gonna go over the finger tricks of this F perm real quick. So here's how it goes: R prime, U prime, F prime, R, U, R prime. So as I'm going through it, just notice that my fingers, I don't have to regrip my hand like that. And you can use your middle finger back here like this, and fast it looks like this. So here we're on to solve number 2 now. I believe this is sort of like a misscramble here, but it looks like you have 2 cross pieces at the bottom, but that's alright. I can still critique your solution. Okay, so you move that orange piece. I know that's going to be solved from what I can see. And then you did a D to put that in, I see, and then put the other piece in. I think that was actually a fairly solid cross solution. I didn't have anything really to critique about it there. So now here is the red and blue pair that I'm noticing. I think that's what it is. Okay, that I would say that is extremely inefficient. So we have a case, something that looks like this, the orange and blue piece, and what you did was separate it, something like that, and then insert it. You did it like 2 or 3 times, but what you can do is do a U, and then we're going to insert this corner, this white corner, into here. So R prime, just like that, inserting the corner there and doing a U prime. Now we have the edge right over here, and what we can do is do an algorithm, R prime, and now it's paired up, and now we can just insert the pair. Okay, next up, you're looking around, and let's see. So I believe you're taking out a corner there. I believe from that side. I'm sort of confused here because you're doing a bunch of RU to R prime moves, and I'm really confused about what exactly is going on. So I think you're looking for this orange and green pair. I think that's what it is. If you're nervous and don't know exactly what pair to do, analyze it and don't do RU to R prime moves, because that's sort of having you to sort of reload and also think about it again where the pieces are being manipulated. So from this angle right here, I noticed this pair is going to be the best pair, the red and blue pair. So I would just pair it up immediately instead of doing a bunch of those unnecessary moves. It's going to change up the orientation of the cube and therefore making it harder for you to recognize it after and later on. So we're just going to insert that pair in the back like that. But now you have a free pair. And there you go, and pretty solid. But once again, you rotate like this, putting your fingers at the bottom. Even if you're rotating, make sure to rotate like this. In home grip, you never want to rotate at the bottom with your thumbs at the bottom. Always have your thumbs on the front of the cube. So it's taking you like 3, 4, even 5 times to take out the pair and even pair it up in the first place. So I would work on your recognition of F2L cases, because I feel like you just learned F2L. Once again, setting up to split pairs and free pairs in one simple trigger or one simple move will definitely help out. Let's take this pair for an example here. So we have this edge here, and then this corner here. So what I noticed is this edge here, this front sticker matches up. This orange here, the orange center is over here, so we'd move that edge away from that. So do an R prime, U prime, and then we can see the corners right here, move it over, and now it's a pair right here, R, and then we can insert it into the back. So back inserts are very important as well. So something like that. Also, this pair right here, we can just split it up, rotate over here, and do an R prime, U, R, split it up like that, and now it's a split pair and insert it into the back. Let's take a look at this OLL here. You did a wide F sexy F prime from the back. What you could do instead right here is do an F, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime. Think of it as the beginning of the Y perm. And here's PLL with a R perm. Okay, and your R perm finger tricks are not the best here because you're doing U2 flicks with just your right hand. Okay, and that U2 at the end didn't quite finish that off. This is the R perm. I'm just going to go over the finger tricks real quick. So here's what it looks like. R prime, U2 with your left hand, because that's going to be easier for you to do the next move with R. Then U2 with your right hand. R prime, F, R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F prime, R2. Once you're in this position right here, instead of rotating and doing the U with your right hand or something, just do it with your left hand like that. And be sure to finish off your AUF, because that is really important and you don't want to get penalized, plus 2 seconds for your solve. So you only sent 2 solves for this, but that's alright. I did get a nice sample size of your solves and how exactly you solve. So here are just my recommendations for you for the future. So for cross especially, you had a pretty good solution for your second solve. I think that's something that is pretty good for your speed, but the most important thing that you are sort of lacking here is solving F2L efficient. You are pairing up pieces in 4, 5, even sometimes even 6 times, which is not good. Just doing like triggers like RU, R prime, RU to R prime, stuff like that. It's not good, because you could be doing that in a more efficient way, especially with your rotations. Once again, rotating like this instead of rotating at the bottom will definitely help a lot. Make sure your thumbs are in the front of the cube. Let me just go over a quick 3x3 example solve for F2L, because I just want to show some cases that are going to show up, I guess, in just a random solve. So I have cross here, and what we're going to look for first as our first pair, this is actually a not good case right now. So the first thing I'm noticing is this red and blue pair, so I'll probably do that one first. So I'll do a U like that, And what I'll do is I'll rotate over here, R prime, and that sets it up for a split pair like that, because I know this red sticker is going to come right about here. And what I'll do is I'll put it into the back. Next up, I'm going to do this pair right here. Once again, rotating this green and red. So I have the corner in the back. I'll do R prime like that to set it up to a split pair. Just knowing these simple cases will help a lot. We can insert it right there. Next up is I noticed this free pair. I'll put it in like this. And then lastly, it sets up to a nice split pair at the end. So I think your strengths in terms of your solves are, I definitely see OLL as your strength, last layer in general, because that's something that you do know PLL, which is good. And if you didn't know PLL, then I think your times would be a lot slower. For OLL, just making sure to recognize the cases, being more familiar with it. Overall, I think you're just getting into cubing and learning a bit more how to recognize the cases. So I think that's something that is going to be helpful a lot. Watching some not only intuitive F2L, but just some example solves from other people, seeing exactly what they're doing. And if you really want to improve, remember that it takes a lot of hard work and dedication. Nothing's gonna happen overnight, and just remember that it's all a process, and just enjoy the process. I hope you did enjoy this critique. Hopefully you did get value from this video. Oh, and one last thing, just try to get more familiar with the cube, doing slow solves, also doing on-time solves to see what is the best possible solution, how the cube moves, how the pieces are moved around exactly, so you can pair them up the best way possible. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Comment, like, subscribe. Catch you guys in my next video. Peace.